North Koreans hoping to defect warned Kim Jong-un will make it even harder to escape. North Koreans hoping to defect across the border to China have been warned it is becoming even harder to escape amid mounting tensions with the U.S. North Korean defectors almost certainly executed on capture. Let's take a listen.
Good to have you back on the program. The fact that North Koreans would resort to such drastic measures for their freedom, it speaks volumes about the desperate situation that they're facing back home.
Definitely. I mean, in this situation, if they're caught and sent back to North Korea, they'll face almost certain execution. I mean, at worst, they're going to be sent to a labor camp from where they'll never emerge. I mean, they have a very, very bleak existence, and this is why they go to that extreme to try to leave.
One of the things that just stuns me about North Korea is I did a piece recently about Camp 14 for 60 Minutes, and in some camps they have what called 3 generations of punishment, where they don't just punish a political prisoner, they also punish that person's parents, that person's children. They want to wipe out 3 generations.
As Pyongyang and Washington tensions spark fears of war, Kim Jong-un has reportedly stepped up surveillance and boosted border security. North Koreans hoping to defect to China now face an even bigger challenge. A Christian charity has warned. Excuse me, sorry about that. Open Doors said the escalating political tensions is making life for North Korean Christians more difficult. The charity said as international tensions with North Korea increase, life for our church family in North Korea becomes even more difficult than before. During periods of upheaval, North Korean people are monitored more closely and the borders are guarded more carefully. There is more danger that a Christian may be discovered, and it is harder for them to cross the border into China, where they can be given food, medicines, and Bibles by open door workers. Defector Ma Young-hee has spoken out over the dangers of leaving North Korea after she was jailed for crossing the border. Trump warns of major conflict with North Korea. Let's take a listen.
The president said this. He said there is a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely. So the major conflict absolutely is certainly some pretty blunt language from this president, who of course has said he wants to try and resolve this diplomatically.
There we go again, sorry. The Christian woman crossed the border to China after her uncle and 10 members of her church were murdered for their faith. A U.S. report found Christians who were caught attempting to defect are severely punished, with Pyongyang cracking down on religion, ordering North Koreans to, quote, believe in the cult around their supreme leader. North Korea denies religious persecution, but Ma Young-hee decided to escape as more members of her church mysteriously went missing. Armed North Korean soldiers patrol the China border with dogs. North Korean soldier looks out from a watchtower on the border. After risking her life to swim across the river separating North Korea and China, Ma Young-hee trekked to the nearest village, only to be sold by human traffickers to a Chinese farmer. But when Ma Young-hee attempted to cross the border back to North Korea to see her family, she was arrested by the military and sent to prison. She said, "When I saw how the other prisoners and I were treated as if we weren't humans, I gave up life. I trembled often in prison and thought I would never see my earthly family again. After being transferred to a lower security prison, Ma Young-hee escaped and was reunited with her family." Kim Jong-un reportedly increases monitoring during times of upheaval. Determined to share her story, Ma Young-hee miraculously defected once again and now lives in South Korea with her husband and child. But the tensions rising over North Korea's nuclear arsenal and fears of a U.S. intervention, would-be defectors have been warned they face a greater challenge to escape. Human Rights Watch says refugees sent back to North Korea face risks of torture, sexual violence, and abuse. It comes as the watchdog calls on China to disclose the whereabouts of 8 North Korean refugees currently held in China after being detained in a roadside check in March and pledged not to send them to North Korea. Phil Robertson, Deputy Asia Director at Human Rights Watch, said, "By now, there are plenty of survivor accounts that reveal Kim Jong-un's administration is routinely persecuting those who are forced back to North Korea after departing illegally and subjecting them to torture, sexual violence, forced labor, and even worse. The government in Beijing should respect its obligations under the Refugee Convention by protecting these 8 North Koreans and under no circumstances force them back to North Korea." That is kind of frightening. Wow. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching.